Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be the first of a series of videos that I'm going to be putting out as Q&As. I asked my community on Instagram to submit some questions they would like for me to answer, and lo and behold, the majority of them were podcasting and ebook. So those will be separate videos. And here today, I'm going to be answering a few questions. I'm going to highlight everyone who asked me questions. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoy this question and answer series. Question is from my friend Mia, and on Instagram she is Queen Vintage Drip, and her question is, how do I divide time between everything I do and still have time for it all? Most days I don't have time for it all, but my answer to you, Mia, is that I use a calendar. I use a planner and I write out lists during the day. The lists actually work better than anything else. So if you are a person who likes pen and paper, then just listen to it. I'm going to tell you, write down 5 things that you need to do in a day and implement them. It's that simple. Write down the most important at the beginning of the day and see if you can get those done. And usually what I do is I try to do the top 3. If I can get 5 done, it is a miracle. I also use calendar. I like Apple Calendar. I do have a passion planner that I use, but oftentimes if I have an event coming up, or if I'm going to be on somebody's podcast or Clubhouse or something like that, I'll actually just add it to my Google Calendar or Apple Calendar. And the trick for me is to add it a day or 2 beforehand. That's the warning. And then the day of, a couple hours before, so that I can make sure I get some sleep and then I'm well rested. But I definitely think it's really important to have a calendar, especially if you're doing something on social media. Create a content calendar. It doesn't have to be crazy. You can go and get a wall calendar. I used to have one at my old house, but it got destroyed, and I'm going to be getting a new one. And then I could take a dry erase marker and fill in the days. Those were the most important things, like a podcast event, a YouTube event. Now I do Clubhouse, and I'm going live again on Instagram. So I want to make sure I highlight those things. So put it right in front of you. Use Post-its, whatever system works for you. The key is using that system. Don't be afraid to take some time off. That's what I also do, Mia. I try to take 2 days off a week, and I try to lay down. If I can't sleep, I make sure I just relax my body for a couple hours a day. I'll get a little bit done, come back to it. But the most important thing that I do, no matter what, I have all this business that I do, like reselling and podcasts and YouTube, and I'm writing, trying to get some content together for some ebooks and things like that. But the most important thing that I do is I come back to my creative, the thing that I love, that brings me joy and takes the stress away. So I tie-dye, I have all these beautiful tie-dye here, I crochet, I paint, I write poetry, things that keep me zen. And so I say, find the thing that works for you, whether it be a calendar, whether it be a planner, whether it be Post-its, and don't forget to take care of you. It's really important. Self-care is health-care. So hopefully that answered your question, Mia. Okay, these next 3 questions are from my good friend Wendy. She is Wendy Span, better known as Salt Creek Style on Instagram. The first question is, how do you keep your focus? Woo! Some days I don't think I do. Some days I'm all over the place, but I know that if it's something that needs to be accomplished, I actually start the day off and I really give myself a self-talk, and I say, listen, you got to get it done. There are days that I can procrastinate, but if it's really important, I'm going to really, really stay focused on it. So what I make sure I do is kind of drown everything else out. Now, I am one of those people that I can do things with music going and my TV. I have a TV in the background there. But if it's really important, I tell myself, listen, let's get it done. And then later on, you can do whatever else you have to do. And the second question from Wendy is, do you work each project or task to completion, or do you start multiple projects at once? Wendy's playing because she already knows me, right? I do start multiple projects at once, and that's just because I do get bored quite easily, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people do that. Sometimes they call this stuff, they give it names, ADHD and all that. I don't claim that in my life, but I am one that does get bored. If I start something and then if I'm not enjoying it, I move on to something else. And I really think this is a really good question and something that people need to think about for themselves. If it's something that's not bringing you joy, are you staying there and fussing around with it? That's like being the student in high school or college and you're preparing for the test and you just can't get it. What you need to do is walk away for a little bit. And the cool thing for me is I'm able to walk away and do some creative things like tie-dyeing and painting. But on the other side of that is I'm making some money. And that is the thing that's like really cool about it, that I'm making some money with this other project that's taking me away from the project that's got me stressing. So I do multiple projects at the same time, all the time. The third question that Wendy has for me is, how do you decide which projects to give your attention to or follow through? Do I have a pro-con list I keep in mind or a dollar amount? So yes, I decide which projects that I want to follow through with, one, based on what the community is asking me for. And so oftentimes people will send me messages as like now, can you create a video for this? Can you create a podcast for this? Or people will start asking me a lot of questions, and that makes me go into this space of, wait a minute, let me get it down on paper. So right now I'm in the process of working on multiple ebooks. I'm also working on some other things that perhaps, maybe courses or webinars. Let's see what direction that goes in. But yes, that's how I kind of determine what direction I'm going to go in. The place where people ask me the most. This community, if you don't know me, majority of what I come up with is what people ask me for. You know, if someone wants to see unboxing, they'll send me a message, right? If someone wants to hear about Poshmark, they'll send me a message. Someone will ask me to model or something like that. So the community is where I get a lot of my focus and a lot of my drive from. And then she said, do you have pro and con lists in mind? I don't. And a dollar amount. A dollar amount is important of, you know, what I'm going to do. And a lot of times that is my creative side. I make more money doing tie-dye and everything. So if I can stay focused in that area, I would love to, because I'm a creative at heart. And that's really my goal in the next couple of years, to not be reselling. Yes, I'm telling you that right now. And I'm spilling the beans that eventually the reselling portion, Poshmark and all of that will be gone. And I'll go back to the place that started off for me, creative. And that's it. So Wendy, thank you for your question. I hope. Okay, so this question is from Vintage Mod Mix, who is Latanya. She basically asked me the similar question that Mia asked me. And her question is, how do you arrange your schedule? I use a calendar or a list system. I use a list every single day. I have a calendar of things every single day of the week that I want to focus on. And I make sure I take some times off. But I think a calendar is really important. Have a calendar or a planner. You want to stay focused and you want to stay on track. It's okay to fall off and come back. If you're not a person who can follow a calendar, make sure you use the list system. A list system works better for me, but I have to use a calendar, especially if I'm interviewing or if someone's interviewing me. If I have to be somewhere where I have to speak or something, I have to put that up that I can see it. Again, I said Post-its earlier, but if I have just daily tasks, I will write things down on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list and then check off as I'm done. So hopefully that answered your question, Latanya. Thank you for asking. This next question comes from my good friend Kayla, and Kayla is Kayla Creative on Instagram. And Kayla's question is, what are your top 5 pieces of advice for new entrepreneurs? And I love the fact that she asked me entrepreneurs. Kayla's not a reseller. She used to be, though. And so I actually wrote that down. And the first thing I would suggest to do, write a plan. Write down what it is you want to do. What is your why? Why do you want to do that business? Write down like a really inclusive plan, like, you know, what it is you want to do, how you want to get started. How are you going to bank that project? Do you have the money for it, right? Write everything down. Do you have to get a loan? You know, can you do it without working? Really write a plan. Write yourself a business plan out, a business model, and figure it out. Can you implement it from start to finish? Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to need any help along the way, but at least write it out. Write the vision, write the plan, make it plain, okay? Number 2, save money. Make sure you have some money in an emergency fund and savings and checking account. You want to have that money so that when you do decide to walk away from your job, it will be there, because things are going to happen. There's no guarantees. If anything else, the pandemic has taught us that, okay? Number 3 is, if you're working, stay at your job a little while longer. You've convinced yourself you want to leave. Keep staying until you get to the point that your second your business is making more money than your job, right? And then still stay a little bit longer. Keep adding to your emergency fund, keep adding to your savings and your checking until you're at that place that you really, really are ready. Now, if someone's bothering you, harassing you, and or you have a sick parent or a sick child or something like that, that's different. But if you do not have to leave, stay at your job and work your business on the side. Number 4, find a mentor, someone who is doing something similar to you that can help you, that can pour into you, that you can contact like a friend and ask them questions when you're not bothering them. So you're not floating around on social media trying to find all the information, that someone is there and they're going to push you in the right direction. And number 5, start where you are with what you have. Don't go spending money on things that you don't need. Start with everything you have in your home. If you're starting a business, you already have an idea. You've already probably started it. So stay in that lane until you're making money, until income is coming in 3, 6, 9 months to a year. And then start digging into that money and buying some specific stuff. As I'm talking to you, I have 2 ring lights right here. I've been reselling and making videos for the last 5 years. Well, videos for the last 3 years. And I just got these ring lights in less than a 2-month period. So take your time, start where you are with what you have. Thank you, Kay. Next question comes from my friend Kay Creative. She is on a roll. She's always pushing me out of my comfort zone. So I love the fact that she's asking me these questions. And her next question is, 5 years from now, how would you like your revenue streams to look in terms of percentages? So in 5 years, I don't want to be reselling at all. Ooh, and the crowd said, what? I don't want to be reselling at all. I want very little inventory. Like, see my space back here? It is filled with stuff. I'm used to having a separate office where I have an office that I can make videos and then separate storage. This is very overwhelming, and it really solidifies for me that I no longer want to have a lot of inventory. I don't want to have a lot of stuff. So in 5 years, percentage wise, I want 80%. I want it to be digital products. I want it to be ebooks. I want it to be courses. I want to be going to speaking engagements, still podcasting and YouTubing, no hands on. And then the other 10%, I want to be affiliate and brand deals. Right now, I have a lot of affiliates coming in, and a couple brands have been reaching out to me, and that will be awesome if that keeps going on. And then the last 10%, I still want to be creative. I still want to create some tie-dye and paint and do a few things, maybe some fashion shows and stuff like that. But other than that's it. So the 80% is the digital, which is the ebooks, the coaching, the webinar, and the speaking. The 10% is affiliates and brands, and the other 10% to make up 100 would be still staying in my creative space. So Kay, thank you so much for that question. Okay, this next question comes from Michelle, and she is Bella Shelley Ann on Instagram. And Michelle's question is, what resources do you use to check comps? And that is for reselling for my platform. So I use the actual platforms a lot. I use eBay, Sellhound, Poshmark, and checking comps is just checking comparisons. If you didn't know that, basically what an item that you have available has sold for. That's what you should be checking for, not what's available. If it's sitting there, it hasn't sold, so you don't know what it's sold for. Checking what it has sold for so you can check to see if it's well worth it. I use those just to kind of check, to compare, but then I come up with my own dollar amount. I'd rather price a little bit higher, so then when people send me an offer, I have more flexibility. Very rarely do I go according to what the comps are. A lot of the times, if I don't know the item, if I'm actually in a place like the thrift store or somewhere where I found something that I know is worth it, I'll stop and check comps, and I usually kind of go more of the eBay. People think that eBay is more garage sale, but you can sell a lot higher end. You can go to the Real, you can use Tradesy. All these, check all the platforms before you get, crazy. I am, really flexible on my prices, so it's not like a big deal for me to like really delve deep into it. I may check Poshmark and eBay, or I may just do Sellhound, which pulls up all these platforms at once. So hopefully that's answered your question. Okay, this next question is from Kate, and Kate is KBusiness9222 on Instagram. And Kate's question is, what should I do if I have followers, but people still aren't buying what I post? Well, Kate, I want to tell you, if you mean specifically on Instagram, then You need to figure out why you're there. If you're talking about on your selling platforms, if you sell on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, or something similar, then you need to look at your pictures, you need to look at your titles, you need to look at your descriptions, you need to look at your prices. You need to make sure that your stuff is just as appealing as someone else's. Oftentimes, it's the pictures that stop people and the price. The last question is from my friend Deneen, and Deneen is frugal fashionista _ on Instagram. And Deneen's question is, how did you get so amazing? And I thought it was wonderful. A very long time to get to this space. I had to grow into it. I'm 52, and there are still some days that I'm going like, wow, I'm just not feeling it. When I started losing my hair, for people who don't know, I do have alopecia. It's an autoimmune disease, and I've lost my hair. I'm not making a fashion statement, even though I do have a wonderful head. It took me a while to appreciate these lips, these eyes, this nose, these hands, and of course, this head. And I am amazing because God has created me, and each day is a process. Hey friends, thank you for all the amazing questions. I really appreciate you taking time to send me questions and to also look at this video all the way through. Stay tuned for the other additional videos, which will be podcasting and ebook. I don't know when they're going to drop, but they'll be coming soon because I have a lot of questions. And with those questions come a lot of answers. So thank you so much for always being wonderful. Take care.